Alright guys, today's video is going to be a quite important one, especially for free-to-play or relatively new players, because I'm going to tell you guys how to do Champions Trial, this new event, correctly, because there is actually a risk you may not be able to get off the rewards if you do not follow this, okay? So, let me first of all just give you a quick overview of how this works. So basically, even though there are a bunch of different things, first of all, trial achievement, this is basically just battling through the mode. You will be able to get this eventually. It doesn't really matter too much. Gallery, those are very different buffs that you are able to get in order to make your team stronger. I'll talk about this more in a bit in terms of which buff are the best ones, especially early on. And then you have tactical study where you can actually change things and also try to beat certain stages in order to actually get all of those buffs in the tactics gallery. Okay, once you have all of those buffs, what you can do is you can start a challenge in this kind of the main stage mode, and you can actually then equip it onto this and then try to beat the stages. Okay, and when you actually beat them, you get two things. One is some kind of badges which you can use for the shop, and two is going to be the support level. Okay, so the badges you're going to use it here in the trial store in order to exchange for things. Some of the items will be locked until you get to the later support levels, and this is where you can then level up your support level. Remember, when you actually beat a stage, you're able to increase your support level, and you do get some diamonds when you beat the higher. So when you reach the higher levels as well. So it's very, very important for you guys actually to go as high as you can for this. Okay. Now here is going to be the problem. It doesn't say what's going to be the total amount in here in order for you to reach the higher stage. It only shows what is needed in order to reach the next stage. Okay, from JP, from some of the resources I'm able to find, I believe the total is going to be 175k. And now if we actually take a look at how much support level you can actually get in total, there are 35 stages. Okay, you can see this here. There are 7 phases. Each phase have 5 stages, so there are 35 stages in total, and every single one of them have 5,000. So basically, if you literally just beat through this as is intended, you should be able to get exactly the same as what's needed in order for you to get a higher support level. That's assuming we follow exactly what JP does. I don't know what the numbers could have adjusted slightly for global, so just be slightly cautious of this, okay? But in theory, if you are actually able to beat through all of the stages, you should be able to get everything hit and obtain all of the rewards. The question is, can you actually beat off the stages? Because there's something tricky about this. All of your characters are going to be forced to be level 60. And what that basically means is that you can't really just level up your main account higher and expect your power level to be transferred to be hit. And I can also just quickly click this through. Actually, it will take me ages on this video, but I did actually do this. But basically, at the hardest level, the total team rating for the opponent is actually going to be 138k. Now, for a lot of us, that is actually going to be very, very hard. So it could be very, very difficult for you to actually reach the higher stages. So yeah, you can see here, this is the hardest stage. The team rating is 138k. So as you can see, I'm actually very far away from that. Yes, eventually when I actually get all those extra buffs, my team rating would increase. Whether it's actually going to be increased all the way to 138k to actually beat this, I'm not too sure. So that's something you have to be cautious, especially if you're those free-to-play players who don't have your characters duped, because even though all of the levels are forced to be level 60, you still carry over all of your dupes, maybe potentials as well. I need to double check. But because of all of those things, if you're free to play or only started the game recently, there's actually a pretty high risk that you may not actually be able to clear over the stages. And if you're not able to clear over the stages, what that basically means is that you may not actually able to get all of the extra gems from the high support level, or even worse, if you're not even able to reach level 11, you won't even be able to unlock some of the extra tickets or the unrarity characters as well. So that is going to be a massive risk for the new players and also for the free-to-play players. However, there's going to be one way of how you can potentially mitigate that risk, and this is basically the main strategy I would strongly advise everyone to do. And that is, if you actually take a look at all of the buff you're going to get in this game, there are going to be a few ones which says supporter at the end, okay? So you want to aim for all of those ones which says supporter, because what it says is that at the end of match, you're going to get extra support depending on the actions you have done. And in fact, there's also another really nice one, which is just you get extra support when you just win. I think, yeah, this one, elite supporter, you just get some extra support whenever you win a match, okay? So those are going to be the best ones you want to go for. And the other thing you also want to bear in mind is that you can't actually re-clear a stage, okay? So you can't just farm this. So for example, I only done one right now. I'll talk about why I only done one in a bit. But if I done this and I try to start match, it says you already clear, okay? So you can't farm easier stages you want to get the support level. However, if you equip all of those buffs, which give you extra support levels, then what's actually going to do is that even though stage itself only gives you 5,000, what you can see is that even though I only beat one single stage, I have 5,600. So as a result, what this allowed me to do is get some extra support every now and then eventually that can help me to reach the high support level, even if I'm not actually strong enough to clear all the stages. So this is going to be very, very important. And also, you want to do this as early as possible. So don't try to rush very, very fast into the later stages, because you have to know as the enemy team rating get higher, there's actually a chance that you may not actually be able to beat it with those supporting buffs. Because if you actually take a look at them, all of the support one just increase your base stat and then gives you extra support. Whereas the other buffs that you're also able to get can actually give you some extra benefit like morale or extra receive stat. So as you move towards to the later harder difficulties, there's a good chance you won't actually be able to equip as many of those supported buff anymore. Because if you actually equip them, your team may not be strong enough to beat the state. So you definitely want to do this as early as possible. So my main strategy that I am going to do, and I also advise everyone, is that first of all, there's no limit to how many times you can actually challenge this. So you can theoretically actually weigh this towards the later half of the event. Okay, the event is for 14 days anyway. So what I strongly advise is for you guys to do this every single day. Try to build up some support ones. So for example here, right, out of the three choices, I can see the support one is very good. So let me just do this together with you guys, right? So I can do this, start study, okay? And then I can quick clear this just to see. And now you can see I actually got an elite support level, and this is going to be very good, right? This is one of the best ones. So now with all of this in mind, what I can then see is, okay, is there any supporter one? Yes, there's another supporter one. So I can go for this as well, okay? So what I can do is I can do this. I can generate this, and as you can see, I've got some extra ones as well. So with all of this, what I can then see is, do I have any support? I don't. Then I can change the match, okay? So this is basically how you want to do it. For the very first few days of the event, you just want to repeat this till you get, I would say, probably either at least 4 or maybe 5 of the supporter buff. And then when you actually enter challenge, what you can do is you can make sure your whole team is actually using one of the supporter ones. So for example here, rather than, oh, what's this blue one? Is the blue one better than the yeah, the blue one's actually better. So for example, I can do this, right? And then I can also have this block supporter, which I already have. I would then also change, let's say, this one to the elite supporter. So basically now out of the 6 buffs, I'll have 4 of them to be support. And this to me is going to be a good enough stage. And then I can actually use this to progress and then therefore push higher to get all of those extra supporter. And the reason why you still want to eventually progress to some stage is that there is going to be rarity in terms of tactic area, okay? So obviously the gold ones are going to be stronger than the purple, which are going to be stronger than the blue, stronger than the green. So even though I do advise you guys to kind of wait until you get enough of the supporter buff, eventually you still do want to progress this. You don't want to leave this to the last day, because all the ones you see right now are only going to be blue. However, once you actually push strong enough into the actual main stages, eventually all of the rarity buff of the tactic study are going to be upgraded as well. And eventually we'll see some maybe purple ones or maybe even some gold ones later down the line. And those are obviously going to be much stronger buff. And because this is actually limited to per day, so that's kind of why it's important for you to rush to as fast as possible so you can actually refresh for some of those nicer buffs, but only do this after you get at least I would probably say 3 or 4 supporter buff for the basic level, just so that you can get all of those extra rewards from here, okay?